Have you ever made a decision you immediately regret? Well, this won't be one of them. You might have never seen a student note question on the SATs that you practice with. It's because it's brand new, but don't worry. Today, we're going to go through strategies to help tackle these very new, but not so scary question types on the digital SAT, and I'll be with you the entire time. So hang in there, friends. That's right, it's Will with Principia Tutors and Consultants, and we're about to blast off for some learning. All right, so first things first, what are the student note topics? We're going to talk about how to recognize these things, how to summarize the information, identify students' goals, eliminate incorrect answer choices, identify key information so we can link bullet point information with correct answer choices, and finally, we'll talk about a few limitations to these question types before going over an example or two together. All right, how do you recognize them? Well, first things first, they're going to appear at the end of the reading writing module around the same place that you'll find the transitions questions. So questions 22 to 27, and it's going to be the expression of ideas content. So if you see while researching a topic, a student takes the following notes, you're most likely looking at a student notes question. Still in doubt, you should see 5 bullet points as they break down the information. Other things to note, the question will ask you to use information from the notes to accomplish the student's goal. Student goals will usually deal with one of the following. You're going to have to summarize or generalize information. You'll need to present information to a familiar or unfamiliar audience. You'll need to explain specific concepts described in the notes. You'll need to emphasize the importance of particular findings, studies, processes, etc. Or you'll need to compare or describe differences highlighted by the information presented in the notes. What do all these have in common? You need to use the notes. If it's not presented by the notes or if it's not provided by the notes, you can eliminate answer choices. And so here are a couple strategies that we'll be going over. First things first, make sure you read the notes and the question to identify what the student's goal is. Start by reading the question. The question will clarify what the student's goal is, and this will further help you evaluate the bullet points and know which information is critical for helping to answer the question. Eliminate answer choices that require too much inference. If you need to go beyond the scope of the notes or anything of that nature, you should eliminate it. If it breaks the goal, that is when you really want to cancel out that answer option. What does it mean to break the goal? First, if it's specifying that you need to give the information to an unfamiliar audience, but the choice would only work for a familiar audience, or vice versa, when it asks for familiar and you give unfamiliar information, you should eliminate that option. If it provides a faulty analogy or generalization, so if the summary is inefficient or incorrect, just get rid of it. If it's an insufficient emphasis, this is really nitpicky, but if it says examples plural and the choice only gives one example singular, you need to eliminate it. Remember, plural is 2 or more, so if you only get one, it's not correct. The goal's broken. Get rid of that choice. Put simply, if you're not giving the question exactly what it requests to accomplish the goal, you should eliminate the answer choice. All right, some limitations. So remember, the correct answer needs to be from the information provided from the notes. And so if it's not using that information, even if it is factually true or accurate, it may require inference or outside knowledge. You should eliminate the choice because only student notes can provide the information to answer the questions. We can make some exceptions when we're encountering very, very common relatable examples. So if I say something like most birds can fly or water is wet, then knowing this information or finding it in the student notes will not help us better understand either the notes themselves or the notes won't help us further understand why water is wet. So if you do come across something like this, be sure to look for other context to decide if you should eliminate or keep that answer choice. All right, with that, we're going to dive into some fully practiced examples together. And so after each question is introduced, I'm going to give you some time to pause the video. I'd like you to take up to a minute to answer the question on your own, and then we'll tackle it together. So go ahead, give it a try. All right, now that you've unpaused the video and we're back in the swing of things, let's go over first and foremost what the student goal is. Goal is summarize primary purpose behind spoiler alerts. So, if it's not giving us a purpose statement and it doesn't provide an adequate or accurate summary, we can get rid of it. And then we can even go through some options that may be factually true, but just off topic or irrelevant to answering the question specified. So, starting with A, this is a true statement. We know they are provided so major plot reveals are not disclosed to unwilling or unaware persons. However, stating what they are does not necessarily clarify their purpose, and so we can and should eliminate choice A. If we go to choice B, this information is provided by the student notes. We know Tolkien did warn readers to avoid parts of London so they wouldn't have the ending of Return of the King spoiled for them. While this is a factual statement supported by the notes, it doesn't state the purpose of all spoiler alerts. In fact, you could think of it as just the Tolkien spoiler alert's purpose. So it's too narrow. It doesn't encompass all other spoiler alerts. And so we can eliminate it for that reason. Choice C, again, we can assert this based on the notes. We know that this is one of the earliest examples of a spoiler for which an alert was issued. However, if we're asked for the purpose of spoiler alerts, not an example of one of the earliest spoilers, then C is just off topic in the sense it doesn't address the goal. So get rid of it. And finally, choice D is correct via elimination. And also, just taking a look at the answer as it's worded, yes, they help preserve surprise. They give people agency. How do we know this? The first two notes, bullet points, are going to give us that information just worded slightly differently. So we know they're warnings. They let us know major elements are coming up. And viewers or listeners are then made aware of what to expect, and they can then make an informed decision about whether they want to continue listening to it or not. There you have it. All right. For the second question, go ahead, pause the video, give yourself some time to answer it, maybe about a minute, and then we'll resume in a couple seconds. All right, welcome back. So what's the goal? We need to provide negative consequences of the bird's activity to unfamiliar audiences. So starting with A, they employ lazy parenting by laying their eggs in foreign nests. This may be a bad thing. We're not sure necessarily because it does tie into the notes, and laying eggs in other nests may be bad. So you can keep A uneliminated for now. Moving on to B, activity in an area linked to declining warbler numbers. This is a very strong front-running answer choice. It looks like the best option so far, so we shouldn't eliminate it, but we really do need to remove C and D before we simply state, okay, B is correct because it's giving us an activity and a negative consequence that's supported by the notes. Looking at C, they're an example of a bird species that tricks other birds into raising their young. Factual statement supported by the notes, but it doesn't provide us with a negative consequence, so get rid of C. If we look at D, brown cowbirds cannot successfully fool birds that lay eggs in different clutch sizes. Well, this information is maybe tangentially related to the student's notes, but we'd have to infer well beyond the scope of this, especially if you're an unfamiliar audience. Nothing here is really stating how many eggs are laid by either species, and so we got to get rid of it. Now between A and B, B clearly provides an example of activity linking to the stated goal and a negative consequence, which means we can finally eliminate A confidently. There you have it. All right, question 3. Pause the video, take some time to answer it. We'll pick up in a couple seconds. All right, welcome back. So what's the goal? The goal is similarities between Eastern and Western dragons. Note the word similarities, plural. Hold on to that, because as we're going to go through the answer choices, that's going to be an important distinction. Looking at choice A, both dragons are mentioned, and it states a similarity. They are mythical creatures. However, since it's just one similarity, and we're asked for similarities, 2 or more, we have to get rid of choice A. Choice B, Western dragons uniquely sinister in nature. Eastern dragons aren't even mentioned, and so we can't state that a similarity is being provided by this answer choice when only one dragon is mentioned. So get rid of B. C and D. So C, both dragons can fly and limit interactions with humans. 2 similarities, mentioning both dragons. supported by information from the notes. C is looking really good, but before we pick it, let's see if we can eliminate D confidently. Looking at D, Eastern dragons, deities, Western dragons, calamities. These are opposites. They are distinct differences between the dragons, so we can eliminate D with confidence, leaving us with just choice C, the correct answer. All right, let's quickly recap. So remember, when you tackle these questions, be sure to read the bullet points and the questions so you know what the student goal is. I recommend starting with the question so you can identify the goal and use that to help you tackle the specific notes to identify key information. Remember to eliminate answer choices that require too much inference or break the student's goal. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're feeling more confident about how to address these brand new, but again, not so scary, student note questions on the DSAT. If you found this helpful, please like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to share the video with a friend, family member, frenemy, anybody in your circle really whom you believe would benefit from this information. And when you have some time, if you're feeling like you just want to learn even more wonderful DSAT strategies, check out our playlist. I'm Will with Principia Tutors and Consultants. I'm signing off.